Okay, my name is John Harvard, and I'm a real Canadian. This toque is for real. Uh, my face is for real, and I am for real. And it's cold outside. It's terrible. It's a great big winter storm going on right now. So I'm a real Canadian reading some stuff I wrote at home. Inside John Harvard's Brain, a bestseller by the author. I write like Lewis Carroll. It says on the I write like computer thing on the internet. A book of fiction by John Harvard, real person. An extraterrestrial decided to dissect John Harvard's brain. My brain. The being thought it was the brain of the founder of Harvard College, sort of like Einstein's brain, which had already been chopped up and they couldn't get a hold of it. But in fact it was the brain of a real person, an author, me, John Milton Harvard. Wearing a special pair of gloves, the being was able to remove the gray matter from the skull without having to do any cutting or opening at all. No surgery necessary. These beings can walk through walls, you know. As the extraterrestrial looked closely at the brain, a piece of something flew out of that gray matter into the being's mouth and down its throat. "What was that?" exclaimed the extraterrestrial. It was shrinking mushroom. The being shrank until it was microscopic and fell right into the brain, deeper and deeper and deeper, and there, in the midst of the author's gray matter, it found a story. The Hatter's head, 12 feet tall, appeared behind his chair at the tea table. The mouth opened, the Hatter slid down the tongue, and the headless Hatter slid into the chair. The great head disappeared, and as this happened, the normal head of the Hatter appeared on his shoulders. "None of you," announced the Hatter, "is normal. Do you believe that toxic forces can threaten personal identity?" asked the Duchess. "Perhaps you—" "Not me," said the Hatter, and he took another gulp of tea. I was going to say sip, but it was a gulp. He doesn't sip, he gulps. "Everything about me," said Alice, "is normal." Suddenly Alice had a crown of a dozen shining stars on her head. They all rose in unison, 6 inches above her head, separated, and then, one by one, grew into UFOs larger than the tea table. One after the other hovered momentarily and flew away. Nobody at the table said anything for a long time. Alice began tossing a red rubber ball into the air and catching it. When it got a couple of feet out of her hands, it turned into a solid gold orb. When it returned just before it went into her hands, it turned back into a red rubber ball. Every time she tossed it and it came back, it spent less and less time as a rubber ball and more as an orb of 24-karat gold. Finally, Alice held it in her hand, a solid gold orb instead of the red rubber ball she had started out with. It felt different. She put it on the table, and for the moment before the Hatter took it into his own hands, it became Humpty Dumpty, and when the Hatter had hold of it, it became a rotten egg. The Hatter threw it at the weasel, and it turned back into a rubber ball, which the weasel tossed to Alice. She tossed it back again. "Can't you two do anything better than playing catch?" said the Hatter. "No," said Alice. "You know how to get the gold out of a rubber ball," said the author. "I need to learn how to get the gold out of my writing." "You," said the Pink RX Weasel, "need to have your sugars tested." Thank you. That is my first Blue Toque reading.